One word that comes to mind when I think of the current state of Western North Carolina is resilience. Resilience is defined by Elizabeth Edwards like this. Resilience is accepting a new reality even if it's less good than the one you had before. You can fight it, you can do nothing but scream about what you've lost, or you can accept that and try to put together something that's good. Last September, a decade-defining destructive force fractured this entire region. Livelihoods completely lost, land destroyed, and water is now permanently altered. News cycles came and went faster than the flash floods, and the reality of the situation has mostly been swept away from the public conscience. The scabs of devastation linger on, and healing from Helene has been slow. But again, I would describe Southern Appalachia as resilient. People band together, and the deep culture has carried many people through the toughest event of their lives. All they can do is accept their reality and try to put together something that's good. My friends and I consider ourselves very lucky. Our college was able to resume classes relatively quickly. Adjusting wasn't easy, but the real gut punch came when we stepped off campus. The Blue Ridge playground we'd fallen in love with would without a doubt take years to recover from this ecological devastation. In the face of all this semester was bringing to the table, we made it our mission to get out on the landscape and see how the land and the people are. Surely the flora and fauna residing in these ridges were just as resilient as the people who call North Carolina home. The only way we found fit to figure this out is to dive deep into the Southern Appalachians. My name is Aaron, and this is a film by Mule Outdoors. Welcome to a spring in Appalachia. So here we are, a land completely turned on its head with winter soon approaching. We can't access any of the places that we used to. We're not sure if there's any fish left, and it's awfully cold outside. My buddies and I started scrambling to find places to even get to, and let me tell you, it was awfully rough for a while. We struck out time after time on these tiny mountain streams we've grown to love. Normally winter fishing is a bit slower, but you typically get a rise from an interested rainbow or two. We grinded and grinded until finally I was able to catch my first fish down here on March 8th, which, considering things, is not all that late in the year, but compared to last year when we were catching fish on dries in January, we were off to a rough start. By the time we were able to finally get some steam and find some fish, it was late March. Just outside the hip town of Brevard lies a lovely little trout stream that holds a good number of wild browns and specks. I headed out on a crisp March morning before class to try and finally get a good day of fishing on the board for the semester.
Let's go. That is a beautiful brown. Oh my goodness. Oh no. That is brutal, folks. I apologize. That guy slipped right out of the box. That was a beautiful brown. I want to put him in a fish box to get it. Oh, dang it. Got a picture on my phone I can put. I knew that was going to happen too. He'll even sip the big terrestrial. So I don't know if we're hopper dropper now or what the deal is, but that was sweet. Out of this big deep hole. Yeah, it looked like a cutthroat, dude. It's just a slow sip. All right. That's good. Let's keep on going up. There's my net. There's my net. I did not expect him to be in here. We'll get him back real quick. There's a gorgeous one. Another brookie. Wow. Pretty guy. All right, see you, sir. All right, try and scurry down this. It's a really good looking run right here. If I doesn't get caught up in thorns. Holy crap. Holy crap. Another brown. Oh my gosh. Let's freaking go, baby. Screw the doggone fish slam. You catch me some wild browns, brother. Get you guys a look at them before I lose them this time. Yes. Oh, yes, baby. That adipose. Get him back here.
I was pleasantly surprised at both the number of fish in this stream and the relative lack of destruction in the stream and the banks. It seems as though the Brevard fish are doing just fine after the storm. Free afternoons in the spring are hard to come by, and when I found myself with one and the sun shining, I took my truck up north to one of our favorite new fishing holes. With the landscape being green and the flowers in bloom, this was setting up to be a good afternoon of fishing.
Beauty. Take it down in the water now. Pretty little guy. Oh yeah. Alrighty, see you, sir. That came on the purple haze. That's kind of become the go-to at this point. What up, bro? Nice. That guy surprised me. He came at the very tail end of the run and just swiped at it, and I got him. That was sweet. All right, folks, little re-rig here. Wasn't liking how that purple haze was fishing. It's pretty old, so it kept kind of sinking and falling apart, but the fish just really weren't having it. So, switched up to a dry dropper here. Went just a little like mini hopper down to a Pat's rubber legs. That's pretty untypical for me on these smaller streams, but I know there's some big fish in here, and it's been raining, so there's been some chunkier stuff washing into the creek. So yeah, we're gonna give it a go. See if anything wants to have a little bigger meal. Yes, let's go. That wasn't even the rubber legs. That was on the little mini hopper. Maybe they're just hungry for terrestrials. Second cast. This dude freaking monstered. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, that is a great wild brown. That adipose and that red tail. Are you kidding me? Oh, yes. All right, time to get him back. That's a great example right there of what switching flies can do for you. Hit him with the purple haze, don't want nothing to do with it. And then first cast or second cast back with the terrestrial. Maybe that's just what they're wanting. That was sick. That was a sick fight too. Oh. Oh my gosh. No, 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 get out of there, get out of there, get out of there, get out of there, yeah. No, 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 no. No. Oh. Oh. Yo, that was the 13, 14 incher we were looking for. All right, I know there's more in here, so let's get them. Oh! Flying fish. Sorry, buddy. Awfully ambitious. Thanks, sir. Yep. That's a good fish. That's a good fish. Holy cow. Where are you taking me, sir? Where are you? Oh my gosh, guys. What is this thing doing? That's a really good brown. Okay. Okay. Hey, buddy. Calm down, please. Get out of there. 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 Yes. Oh, yes. No, the camera is in the backpack. Oh my gosh, that is a unit. That is a freaking unit of a brown. Yes. Look at that pat's in there. Yes. Oh, yes, dude. That's what we're freaking after. Cheeky two-hander for the boys. Oh, yes! I've never really caught any browns like remotely close to that except for today. So, that is so sick. Yes! And of course, as soon as it frickin' rains, that one eats. So I guess to answer my question about the rain, I don't know. But yeah, that guy came on the stonefly, on the Pat's rubber legs. Pat always delivers. Why don't I just throw Pat everywhere? Something I noticed is that they're hard to catch, but bigger fish will kind of hang out in these whitewater stuff. So in that case, I was just letting my dropper dangle, and he took that stonefly. He brought me all the way down here, all the way back up here. That was so cool. And yeah, the freaking camera was off, of course. But that's probably why I caught him. So maybe that's the strat. Just don't film, and then I don't know. But yeah, let's keep working upstream. Hopefully catch a couple more of those. Oh, that was a big one. Beauty and a half right there.
This was definitely some of the most consistent fishing that we had all spring. It was refreshing to see a creek filled with life, with fish and bugs, rather than with undercut banks and log jams. With both the quality and quantity of fish coming out of this creek, I'd say that the fish in the northwest part of the state are thriving after the storm. In order to get a take on how the storm has impacted the recreation of the area, I headed down to Camp Greer in Old Fort to talk to John Lane, head of the G5 Trail Collective.
G5 is an awesome organization that maintains trails in the area. I'll let John explain the rest.
So I am John Lane of the G5 Trail Collective here in Old Fort. I'm the director of G5. Just basically all things G5 is me, making sure we're monitoring all the trails in the Old Fort area throughout the Grandfather District. We maintain the trails. We find service projects to do for volunteers, and we work in partnership with the Forest Service in order to keep these trails open and create more trails for users. There's so many things, but the basic things to do what G5 does is just in the Old Fort area, there's never been anyone who's taken care of these trails that exist here. So there's been trails here that was built by the Civilian Conservation Corps back in the late 30s and early 40s. These trails that were built, some went all the way up to Mount Mitchell. So they've been here for almost 100 years, 85 years plus. And because of the local populations in this area, there hasn't been any maintenance. So a lot of these trails have gotten overgrown. A lot of them have disappeared. So part of our goal is to bring those legacy, those older trails back to life. So that's our first and foremost goal, is to maintain all that. We're showing that we can maintain those trails, and we've worked out a program with the Forest Service. So we have all these acres of national forest that aren't being used. Some areas are wilderness studies, but other areas are just wide open where there's been logging roads. So we put together a plan to institute a new section of trails in this area. Currently, there are about 55 miles of trails that were in the area, and we are putting a program together to build 42 more miles. It's a much bigger implication of not just trails, but helping the town, the community of Old Fort, McDowell County, to bring an economy here, to keep this town alive, to bring people away from the Brevard and Asheville area where it's overcrowded, and start tapping into the forest here. And so far we've built 22 miles of trail, and beyond that we're unfortunately at the point of, after Helene hitting, we're having to put all that on pause and just work on repair and reconstruction of all Helene damaged roads and trails. Yeah, so since the storm, I think, recorded over almost 30 inches of rain from Mount Mitchell. So we're at the very bottom of Mount Mitchell. It's right above us. So everything that's raining is coming down into town. So, trees fell, then got washed, and out of, 55 miles of trails, I would say half of them had either trees or landslides, what they call cut slopes, where a road was, and that caused a landslide. As of now, which is about 7 months since it's happened, we have, in the Old Fort area, opened about 85% of the trails. The only trails that aren't open have severe landslides, and right now we're just waiting for funding to come together from the state, that we can go and repair those. We never anticipated, this kind of magnitude of repair, which will be in the millions of dollars. That said, the roads, the access to these trails and trailheads, they were hurt way worse, because most of these roads are near creeks and rivers, so they were flooded heavily. So as of yesterday, I was able to drive up to the Blue Ridge Parkway from Curtis Creek Road, which is, that's been the first time. The road is still closed, but it is has been repaired, not fully, but it's drivable. So that's really a positive sign. There's still other roads lower down the mountain that are completely inaccessible, and it's going to take years, maybe 5 years, maybe longer, to clean the trees off and repair as they go back up the mountain. So as far as roads, they're much more impacted than the trails. and it's millions of dollars to repair them. So that's our dilemma right now: is how do we get these roads open? How do we find ways to get to the trails? That's been our biggest problem. Is we built a 14-mile brand new trail system in the Gateway area, and brand new parking lot. Unfortunately, the bridge to that parking lot, it's still there, but it's about 100 feet downstream from where it was. And we're waiting for a bridge to be installed, and once that gets installed, we'll have better access to the Gateway area. The parking lot is still there. It's just underneath a bunch of silt and sand. Yeah, the recreation now since Helene has, now that spring, it's almost normal in some areas and still hasn't ramped back up in others. I would say, of course, fishing is way down. Long range backpacking is probably far down. Local smaller areas closer to towns I feel like they're normal. As far as the amount of people getting there, Brevard wasn't really hit hard, so they're seeing a lot of tick ups with visitors. Old Fort is not doing as good as it was as it started, and again, it's below average anyway because it's so new and such a small town. I think people feel like Old Fort is far away from Asheville, but it's as close as Brevard and not crowded, so it'll eventually kick in. But as far as the users, biking and hiking in this area, people are really challenged on trying to figure out what is open, what is safe to walk on. We've been trying to message that through our website, letting people know what we give people the green light on trails or red light on trails or caution on the trails. We have an interactive map that shows that, and we've been seeing it slowly coming up. I'm hoping that this summer that it won't be completely normal, but I think we're going to be just below that. So that's my hopes, and that's what I'm seeing. It grow very, very slow, but it's still growing. So, and getting back to normal I'm not sure what that exactly is yet. It's going to take years to feel that, but just it being spring right now and things turning green, that's a good feeling that nature's going to come back and grow over these creek areas that got washed out. That's going to still take some time. I think people regionally and perhaps nationally are thinking that we're not open, and so we're trying to get the message out that we are, and so that has maybe kept people away at the moment, because at first that was the message, is don't come here, nothing's open, nothing's working. But now businesses are open, places to stay, places to eat, places to camp. The forest itself throughout Pisgah is some of the campgrounds aren't going to open, at least this year. Some will, so that'll limit stays to access to this area. So I think the rest of the outdoor recreation is kind of feeling that, like, where are people going, where are people spending their money. So it's just slow. That's really the only way to describe what's going to happen. And every day is a different day here. It gets better each day. So resilience, that's a good one. I actually think about that one a lot, because what do you do when you see houses and cars wash down a road? What do you do when there's just trees crisscrossing the trails? What do you do when you don't have access to any of this stuff? You just have to really think long term, and you should never give up. Every day should be another day to make it better. So sticking with your passions and what you love is what's going to keep things getting back to normal, things getting better. So resilience is the key. That's a great thing, is to never give up, love what you do, take care of everybody. everyone needs love one way or another. So like, look out for everyone. Yeah, don't give up. You know, life is wonderful.
In order to see how some of John's trails were, I contracted my buddies Nate and Drake to take me for a mountain bike ride. Now, to be clear, I'm more of a trail runner myself, but I wanted to check out the popular consumer trail that G5 maintains on 2 wheels instead of 2 legs. I was later informed that this is quite the ride for a first-time mountain biker. Well, let me tell you, it was fun. There was a grueling climb that held a big learning curve for taking a bike on a steep trail, but once we crested the ridge, it was all downhill from there. Minus a few wipeouts along the way.
Oh no.
This truly was a blast, and thanks to Nate and Drake for putting up with a newbie on a mountain bike. As John mentioned, most of the popular trails are back up and running. We saw some washed out areas close to creeks, but it was clear that the trail is in good condition. Myself, however, not so much.
Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm a science major here in North Carolina. I love my program, which involves various field trips and classes learning about flora and fauna of the land. One of the newfound passions that I didn't know I had was learning about the four-legged critters and the creeks we have around here. Western North Carolina is one of the most diverse spots for salamanders in the world. Flipping over a rock or looking under a ledge has become a common occurrence during my fishing trips. In order to focus exclusively on these critters and see how they are doing after the storm, I tagged along on a field trip with my science class, and I was able to talk to a professional in this field of study.
So I'm Josh Holbrook. I'm an assistant professor of environmental science at Montreat College in Western North Carolina here. And I am head of the environmental science program, which means I try to get outside as much as possible and learn about all the cool things that are all around us. We are very fortunate here in Western North Carolina. We have probably close to maybe over 100 species within about 3 hours driving range from where we're at right here. Tonight we can go out and get anywhere up to maybe even a dozen species, but you start driving a little bit farther away, you get more and more and more species. So this is really the hot spot for salamander diversity in the world. There's no other place you can go into the world and get more salamander individuals or species than you can right here. You know, we've got about 12 or 13 species that we can encounter pretty easily here. Things like our dusky salamanders. We have Carolina mountain dusky salamanders, black-bellied dusky salamanders, seal salamanders, which are dusky salamanders, and northern dusky salamanders. We also have shovel-nosed salamanders, slimy salamanders, which are exactly how they sound, Yanalasi salamanders. If we're really lucky, we'll get something like a spring salamander, which is like the Tyrannosaurus rex of the salamander world. They eat other salamander species and are about twice as long. They get up to 9 inches in some cases. So we have a couple different groups of salamanders that we'll encounter. If we get down into the creek, we get a group of salamanders that's a lot more adapted to really moist conditions, as you might expect. And they have oar-shaped tails. In other words, they have tails that are good for swimming. So we would call these mostly our dusky salamanders living down in the creek. If you get up out of the creek a little bit to where it's higher and where it's drier, you get an entirely different group of salamanders that are adapted for those dry conditions, and we call these woodland salamanders. So around here we have mostly gray cheek salamanders and Yanalasi salamanders, which are these really beautiful salamanders with bright red backs, and then also slimy salamanders. Yeah, so we had Hurricane Helene back in September of 2024, and it hit a lot of our creek-dwelling species really hard. A lot of them will respond or have already responded and seem to be bouncing back. The ones that were hit the hardest were the hellbenders. So the hellbenders live only in the water. They don't really emerge from the water at all. And so they got hit the hardest by all the flooding, and they found dozens and dozens dead throughout the state. And I'm sure more have died on top of that, unfortunately. The other salamanders, looks like they're mostly doing okay. I'm sure in some places they've been hit really hard, but most of the places up here in western North Carolina and Black Mountain are pretty okay.
And what we found was exactly that. Every rock, hole, or crevice that there seemed to be a plethodon sticking out of it. If you are from the area and haven't done this, I would highly recommend it. Go to just about any local creek and start flipping rocks and you'll probably find some. It makes for a fun adventure and is truly a symbol of the ecology of the land. Our four-legged creek-dwelling friends seem to be doing just fine. Next, I'm bringing 3 of what I'm calling case studies. I'm going to compare how the fishing is on a body of water about a year from when I fished it last. This allows for similar conditions to fish the water and a direct comparison from before to after the hurricane. First up is a well-known backcountry fly fishing river in the state. I first fished this river on April 29th, 2024, and had an awesome day. I ended up chucking streamers all day and hooking into some good quality rainbows. Was the fishing excellent? Top tier? No, but I was able to find fish with some consistency and scrape out a decent day. I believe I ended with around 5 quality fish, which, given the size and reputation of the stream, I was happy with. I returned exactly a year later on April 29th, 2025, hoping to find some similar numbers of quality fish after the hurricane. Rigging up in an empty parking lot and saddling up the big pack, I headed down the trail, both excited and with a nervous feeling in my stomach. As the miles passed on this trail, both of those feelings dwindled, and finally making my descent into the river was both a relief and a breath of fresh air. After a quick change of footwear, I was ready to hit the water. And just like I had a year ago, I started off by searching for the bigger bite by hooking streamers. But empty cast after empty cast had me stumped. Last year, when I wasn't getting bites, I was at least getting follows or flashes. But hole after hole coming up empty-handed had me scratching my head. I thought maybe there weren't any fish in this section, so I hiked farther downstream, still to come up with fruitless casts. I was downright worried at this point. Surely the storm hadn't taken everything out of this stream. Finally, I had the mind to switch up to a nymph rig and managed to connect with my first fish of the day.
Wow. There is fish in here. My goodness. Nice little brownie brown. All right, see you, sir. Oh my goodness, folks. That feels incredibly good. Okay, so my plan worked. There are fish in the stream, which is the bonus program at this point. Yeah, he came on the Pat's rubber leg, so okay, that's awesome. I just wanted to confirm that there were living fish in here. So I'm gonna fish this guy. I wouldn't be surprised. I definitely could catch a bigger fish on this rig. I'm just looking to, I think it'd be more efficient with streamers, but this is definitely effective. So we're gonna keep fishing this. I just hit all this with the streamer. We're gonna go back and hit it with this and see what comes up.
So after this small brown broke the skunk, I'd love to say that it was great fishing after that. Maybe I just missed the mark with throwing the streamers versus the nymphs. But that wasn't the case at all. I marched down the broken trail that parallels the creek with continual empty casts. Aside from the occasional overzealous chub or maybe tiny trout hitting my dry fly indicator, things were grim. It wasn't until over 2 hours later when I decided to switch up rigs again that I was able to reconnect.
Oh my goodness, thank you, Lord. You got him, folks. Feisty brown, feisty. We have worked for this fish, folks. Holy cow. It came on the stone fly that I tied too. That's pretty neat. Alright, time to let him go. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. It's a good shot right there. Oh my gosh. That guy came out of left field. I was just hoping up towards the end of the drift. Came out and swiped it. That feels really good.
And not but 20 minutes later, lightning struck twice. I managed to hook into my second quality Mills River brown of the day.
Here we go. Let's go. Nice. Another beauty of a brown here on the rubber legs, folks. That's great. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Appreciate you. Little splash to leave on. Oh, boy, hunting does that feel good. I don't know why I'm doing it from this angle. Yes. That's so rewarding. So rewarding. You know, not anything crazy as far as the fish itself, but to come and catch that and the other one, but with some, able to catch that out of this that obviously got pretty wrecked. That's cool. That's cool. On a fly that I tied too. That's awesome. Yeah, and not anything crazy as far as the fish. My buddy Jacob, I'm sure you're watching this, I'm sure you're fishing today and you've caught 10 of those. But come down here to this river in the backcountry and do that, it's special. I know it sounds silly, but it's super rewarding. That's cool.
With that butterball being my last, I think rewarding is the best word I would choose to describe the day. From a two-dimensional standpoint, did I really do much worse than last time? No. I ended up with 3 fish on the day, which was a couple less than last time. But looking at it from an all-around aspect, it was rough. I walked 7 miles on the day to catch 3 relatively small fish. Much of the water I fished was altered, and like I mentioned, signs of life were slim. 0 flashes on the streamer, and all of the fish I caught were on the smaller end compared to last year. Even talking to other folks who had fished this water said that they have had some similar experiences. The storm affected all life in this drainage, especially the bigger fish in the system. Our second case study of the spring is on a creek near and dear to me. This was one of the first creeks where I was able to find success blue lining. I caught my first native brook trout here, my friends caught their first native brook trout here, and it's where I taught Jacob to fly fish. It also lies in one of the hardest hit areas by the hurricane. Access was very limited throughout the spring, but I managed to get up there to see how my previously favorite water has fared after the storm.
All right, good afternoon, folks. We have a very special episode this afternoon. I'm here on a creek, one of my favorite creeks, or what used to be one of my favorite creeks. But I have not been able to fish this creek since Helene. This is kind of one of the first creeks that I kind of learned the blue line on. I taught my friends to fish on it. I have tons of great memories here, and have not been able to fish it since Helene. And I legitimately have no idea if there's fishing here or not, okay? Like literally 0. There could be 0 fish left. So it got hit pretty bad, but popped out after class today. I only have about an hour or 2 to fish it. But yeah, that's kind of the first test, kind of the first creek I fished where I really Had no idea what's in here. If there's any fish, if there's any bug life, if there's anything. So yeah, we're gonna take our time going up the creek here. I mean, the pools have already changed so much. I'm hoping I can overlay some of this footage with footage from last year. But it is just not the same. But we're gonna see how fish have fared. So let's hop in. Yeah, this entire log jam was not here before. This is creek. Wow.
And folks, while I'd love to say that these fish were doing just fine, that simply was not the case. This stream had the most destruction I have seen out of any creek. One bite from what appeared to be a small rainbow was all that I had to show for my efforts. This was incredibly sad and hard to see. A creek that has so much nostalgia has been decimated, and it will take years to recover.
For our third and final case study, my buddy Jacob and I headed over to the Great Smoky Mountains. Rolling through, well, smoke, we cruised our way into the park in no rush to get to the stream. We paraded past the elk with all the other Saturday visitors and made a quick grab for an empty parking spot at the trailhead. I first fished the stream with my good buddy Mike from Fly All Season on April 25th, 2024. Mike was kind enough to introduce me to the park and my first notable day of good brookie fishing. We met up midday and fished the afternoon bite. Picking off fish after fish out of this tumbling Tennessee brookie stream, we stretched out the late April sun and had an awesome day on the water. Returning on April 26th, 2025, by the time Jacob and I got in the stream, the Smoky Mountain sun was high over our heads. We happened to start at the same spot as Mike and I did, and after a few missed bites, it seemed that the brookies were just as eager as last year.
I watched one jump at it at the beginning.
Yeah, me too. I think it's probably the same one. I get to see. Good zoomed in shot on it there.
I got all, if you zoomed, oh yeah. Birdie.
Oh yeah. That is just incredible, dude. Think you shot him in there?
Right there, yep, that's good. That's a good release shot.
Thank you. Was that on the nymph?
Yeah. Whack the ball. That is by far the prettiest brookie I've ever caught. Look at his fins, where he's been like spawning.
Yeah. Tell us what has happened there, Jacob.
Well, I ain't caught nothing for the last 5 holes, and Aaron gave me, hey, you should fish mine. Whacked in them. Also spooked one when I got up there. Anyway, put this big old puppy back where he belongs.
Heck yeah, dude.
Huh. Huh. Dude. I was like, Aaron, are you gonna catch it or are you?
Count that one?
That one was all colored up too.
Wow. Drop Dropper it is, I reckon.
Dropper it is. I might tie one on.
No, we should keep
Keep
one
one.
on a dry.
Yeah, you're right. I ain't got much camera angling from there. Hold on. Yep, got it.
Here it is. 99.
Things were going great for us as we marched upstream, but fishing slowed down significantly around lunchtime. I don't think this was any fault of the storm, but rather your typical midday lull in the action. After a fishless hour or two, we were back on track with the brookies.
Nice.
A little worried.
Yeah, I was getting a little worried too.
That's hurting him. Real pretty.
Okay. You like bit my net. Most definitely did not have that on camera.
I most definitely cannot net him either.
I had like just turned it on and I was adjusting the focus.
Ah,
My bad.
you good?
I was also in the process of falling.
Got him?
Yep. Sir?
Well, we got him on here. I don't know quite what you call that.
Brown and gray.
Brown and gray, but the sun's finally kind of coming out with some consistency. Seeing a couple more bugs, so hopefully we can get into some kind of rhythm here. There's been no rhythm, no pattern this whole day, but about 2 o'clock now, hopefully the sun will come out and get warmer. That'd be ideal.
Yeah.
See what we can do.
Nice. Nice.
Let's go work, dude.
Oh, it's been a long time coming the last couple hours.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that one on.
Heck yeah, dude. I didn't have my finger right here. The reel just slipped.
That's the last one's little brother.
Yeah, last one was a lot bigger. Look at that lateral line, dude. That's cool.
Oh, that like streak down his side?
Yeah, I've never really seen that before. Hi, folks. Awesome brookie here. Awesome spot to do it. Bringing him back.
Oh no.
Jacob got one. I wasn't recording. I was back changing my flies and getting a drink of water.
100% chance I catch a fish when Aaron's not filming.
Heck yes, dude.
He's sitting right there. See?
I'll sit in there. Oh, yes. Jacob, tell the folks what just happened.
I saw one and I told Aaron some expletives on what I was going to do, and I did it.
He was just fishing on the other side of this log for like 10 minutes. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And we finally climbed through this log to this deep water. We're about to leave. And Jacob's like, wait, I see one. Cast to it. Doink. And he's taking a selfie like a white girl. Like a white girl with her Starbucks.
You ready to turn her loose?
Yeah.
Look at the lateral line on that one. Hold on. Quit! Quit! Okay. Position.
I didn't hear you.
I am. Well, folks, Mr. Mulestein doesn't like to listen to.
I can't hear you.
The cues of his cameraman. Yeah, he might have it on his GoPro.
No, definitely not.
But I definitely didn't. Well, this is a pretty little guy. I told him I had to move, and you know,
I didn't hear him.
he decided to be a Jacob Jr. Stop moving your hand. Stop. You're good now. That's a darken. Some spots on the side.
Oh, folks, beauty here. And then back. That was a big fish, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Damn it. Yeah, that was a good one.
I don't know why I can't stick them to that.
Ain't falling.
Huh?
Ain't falling. Came back. Hell yeah. Well, the fish is gone.
You got a picture on there, didn't you?
Yeah, we got some pictures. Oopsies. That was a good one, dude. I'm shocked he came back or swiped at it again. Last toll of the day, folks. My goodness.
Look at how orange that joker is. Like yellow almost.
Not a bad one. Not a bad day.
Bad in the middle.
Bad in the middle.
We always start off good and we're pretty good.
A little dry spell.
And then middle, El Succo.
That's just unreal, dude. All right, folks. Quite a fish to end quite the day.
After that last time of the day, Jacob and I started the hike back to the parking lot with the thought of dinner on our minds. To have a day fishing like this was honestly refreshing. Neither of us had had brook trout fishing this consistent after the storm, and to be able to come back to a spot where I knew there were supposed to be fish, and for them to actually be there, it was a relief. I'll be holding on to this Smoky Mountain memory for a long time to come.
My name is Dottie Schumann, and I am a professor of outdoor recreation studies. I've been at Montreat for 28 years, and this is my last semester of teaching. I will be retiring very soon.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So the very first place we went to church was Montreat Church at the time, now Christ Community Church. And with a young family, it was easiest just to stay in one place and not go church shopping. And we heard the gospel there. It was very clear. And so that became our home church right on the campus of Montreat College. And that has been our home church ever since. We've been involved there on all levels. We've been on mission trips. We served in the Sunday school. We did, Sunday school programming. And it's just been a great place for us to grow, especially for me to grow as a young believer at the time. And then in the town of Black Mountain, I've been involved with the Greenways Commission in helping to get more greenways in the town of Black Mountain. And so one of the projects that I worked on there was the Flat Creek Greenway that goes from the elementary school up to Cotton. And so we completed that while I was serving on the committee. And now I serve not on the town committee, but just a separate committee where the Greenways Commission, I'm not sure what our exact title is, but we still support the town and raise money, because sometimes if you raise money within the town, then it might get distributed, the money might get distributed to other interests. But our committee can just raise money for greenways. And it's really exciting right now with the Fonta Flora potentially connecting through the town of Black Mountain and onto Swannanoa. And I think the hurricane has had some impact on how things are going to develop. And I think it's for the positive. So let's see, it's greenways, and let's see, what else am I involved in? I also served on a Mount Mitchell Advisory Committee for a while. And during my time with that, we actually we had to take down the old tower and build a new tower. And so that was really fun to be involved with all of the design on the new tower for Mount Mitchell. So I try to be involved. And then during the hurricane, I don't know if you want to ask me that separately or not, but during the hurricane, I was involved at the Ingalls kind of distribution center. So, of course, the day of the morning that the hurricane hit, nobody thought that it was going to be as serious as it was. And our street, 9th Street in Black Mountain, was completely covered with downed trees. I think we had to climb over one tree just to get out and walk down to Flat Creek because we wanted to see what Flat Creek looked like. It was almost impossible on that first day to get up to Montreat. And looking back, it was interesting because I focused on my neighborhood. And normally my first response is to the college students, but I couldn't really get there. I didn't see an easy way of getting to the college. And so I focused on my neighborhood and focused on making sure, because we have a lot of elderly folks in our neighborhood, making sure everybody was okay. The house behind us had a huge tree fall on it, and thankfully she was fine. So right away, it was a local focus on 9th Street. And then the next day, I really didn't know where I should turn, but I heard that they were accepting volunteers at the town office in Black Mountain. So I walked down there and asked where I could be used. And they said, well, we're expecting our first tanker of water to come in sometime within the next couple of hours. And we could really use people to help distribute water once that tanker comes in. So went down to Ingalls, and right away, there was just about 5 of us that had gathered that were sent there. Not sure what we were supposed to do, but we just kind of helped organize cars because the word had gotten out that you could get water at Ingalls. I got there at about noon, and the truck was supposed to be there at 1, and then it was supposed to be there at 2, and then finally at 3:30, we could see the tanker truck coming in with water, and cheer went up. You know, we were just organizing cars, but a cheer went up in the parking lot. But of course, a tanker of water is a tanker of water, and there really wasn't any way to get the water out of that tanker until they filled these big, I don't know how many, 500-gallon tanks, and hooked up hoses. And so once that was all hooked up, we started just filling people's containers. Any container that they brought, people brought pitchers, people brought coffee, maker urns. People brought anything because they needed water. So I served there on the first day, and then that initial group of 5 people became kind of the go-to people. And before I knew it, everybody was saying, Dottie, go ask Dottie, go ask Dottie. And so I got involved. So I kind of turned over the water situation. My son came down and was very involved. And then I got involved with the intake of donations. And it was absolutely incredible to see where donations were coming from, what kinds of things people were bringing us. And so my job ended up being writing down people's names of who was donating what, and then helping to just get it into the Ingalls warehouse. Well, it was the Ingalls nursery area, the garden center. And so we just started putting things in there, and then more and more volunteers started coming and helping to organize things. But my job ended up being mostly on the intake. And it was just such a wonderful job to have. I mean, I cried with so many people just saying thank you, over and over again. And then we had people who had the means to distribute the donations out to people who needed it. So there were four-wheelers that were coming in, people that were going out, and so the stories were coming back in about the devastation, and it was just absolutely an amazing place to be, actually a hub for all kinds of things, helicopters coming and going, and all kinds of things going on down there at Ingalls. So it's really a neat opportunity. It broke my heart when I had to go back to school and teach, because I just couldn't do both. My response kind of post-Ingalls, I'll call it, was more just going back to serving my students, which is what I do. So, you know, you just get busy at Montreat College and teaching classes, doing the things I need to do, and just being there for my students. So my outreach to the community really slowed down. But the very cool thing is I'm still in touch with some of the original 5 group that was there on the initial intake of materials and so on. And some of those people have stayed very much involved. And once Ingalls needed their space back for their garden center, the people there organized a nonprofit, and they are now a distribution center. And honestly, I have not followed up to know exactly where that distribution center is, but they have set up a new distribution center. And on my walk to work today, one of the women that I worked with said that her daughter is still helping to write grants and do things with that distribution center. So potentially, as I retire, that's one way that I'll be able to serve back in the community. Yeah, so the question is about seeing the community banding together at other times. Well, we did have Ivan come through, another hurricane, and so that was the very same thing. And that was, the students were able to stay, were able to stay here during that hurricane. So it was really great to see the Montreat College students. We didn't have water for about a week during that time as well. And so the students were handing out water bottles in Black Mountain. So it was great to see the students involved that way. Yeah, so the current state, I mean, it's just still so heartbreaking with the piles of brush that are along the roads, the piles, it's not just brush, it's all kinds of things. And it was amazing to watch the pile at Welch Field go from, 3 stories, 4 stories tall to grass growing there now. It's just amazing. I'm so glad they're working on the road, Lookout Road, because that was getting really bad, that bump going in there. So, but what the sad thing that I think the communities are struggling with, just all the communities, is that there's only so much cash flow that a community has. And all of this restoration costs money. And yes, FEMA may or may not provide more funds, but the communities have to put out the cash first, and then they'll get reimbursed. And so that's almost impossible to have the millions of dollars that are needed to just restore Lookout Road. I'm sure that's a huge cost to the town of Montreat. So, so that's really, again, heartbreaking is the only word that I can come up with. But somehow, it just seems like it does sound like we're getting the funds that we need. It does sound like sometimes that the funds are going to remain. Other times it seems like they're not. But my big prayer and hope is that there'll be enough money to restore the things that need to be restored, and that communities can function. Yeah, resilience is a really good word. To me, resilience is being able to just restore and put everything back together, be strong enough to work together as a community to put things back together.
As the calendar turned a page into May, we knew that our time left at college was winding down. With this in mind, we both solemnly and excitedly loaded up the big packs for a bucket list trip. Funny enough, we had originally planned this trip for the weekend after the hurricane happened, so it was only fitting that during finals week, we took on the legendary Big Snowbird drainage. This creek is known as one of the best backcountry brook trout streams in the state. The allure of the stream is the true wilderness factor. It's about a 4-mile hike to even get to the good brook trout water. Post-hurricane, we've heard no reports of how the brook trout in the system are faring, so we took to the trail to find out for ourselves. We knocked out the hike to camp as quick as we could, minus a few salamander stops along the way. By the time we got camp set up and did all the chores, we still had plenty of light left to fish the afternoon bite. After winning the rock, paper, scissors match yet again, it wasn't long until I connected with my first big Snowbird brookie.
Yes, sir. At the camp.
Yes, sir.
At the camp, first one of the day. Came on the patch. Oh, yes, dude.
Is that pretty good?
Yeah, that feels good. Look at the red spots on that, dude. Back here, first backcountry brookie. That's gorgeous. Back here.
Hell yeah.
Heck
Boom.
Yeah. Didn't take too long at all.
No, not at all.
Oh, I have the net, don't I? I have the net, don't I? Yeah. Nice. Sent that guy for a ride.
Yeah, oh man.
Oh, this is wow.
Yeah.
Heck yes, dude.
All right, well, we have unhooked him.
Oh, successful. Beauty, dude.
I'm gonna put Junior back to where he lives.
Two literally in the camp hole. Our hammocks are right there. It's not too bad.
Ain't bad.
Took me a minute, we got him.
Oh, that.
He wanted that stone fly. Oh, yes, dude. And that was a big one there sitting at the end of the run.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did not get.
All right,
Now what are we gonna do? Oh my goodness.
this is retarded.
Yeah, hold on. Let me hop down.
Yeah, okay. I think I made a flaw not bringing my net.
They made a faux pas.
What if you got the net at the house and the hat wasn't working? Nothing was working. Yeah. Right.
All right.
Anyways, this is Honky Special number 2 on the old Skunk Buster, whatever this actually is, I don't know. Skunk Buster right there, Bo.
Heck yeah.
Back into Narnia he goes.
That was freaking hilarious. I was getting me a drink of water and Jacob caught him a nice one on the dry here.
100% chance. 100% chance Jacob catches a fish from there in October. Look how dark he is.
Where'd he go?
Between your legs.
Heck yeah, dude.
Look how much bigger fish than it was.
Sucker's dark. I mean dark.
Yeah, like the camera's having a hard time picking it up.
Oh, yes, dude. Thanks, sir. Nice.
Well, folks, I can't get him turned around in my hand, so we're just gonna.
You're good. Good work.
He's fighting you, boy. Begging. Oh yeah.
That fish appeared to have ended our afternoon bite window. We continued fishing upstream, but the fishing slowed down significantly. We found a few more here and there, but eventually started heading back towards camp with the thought of dinner on our minds.
Alrighty, folks, back at camp now, and it is hitting on dinner time. So, me and Jacob have both been thinking about this whole time while we was fishing. We have, first time ever trying it, a Steve Ranella signature American Buffalo barbecue mac and cheese, macaroni pasta and ground bison in a cheesy barbecue sauce. So, we're quite excited, wouldn't you say, Jacob?
Yeah, with mango and a beef Slim Jim thrown in the side of it.
That's right. With peach cobbler for dessert. Yeah, we've been. It was a good day.
Beginning was fabulous.
Yeah, as you guys saw, we got off to a great start. Trout everywhere, every hole, and then just kind of tapered off into zilch. So, wonder if they just got cold, less active.
They starting to smoke too?
Yeah. Yours are smoking over there too. So, we're not quite sure what the deal was, but it's alright. We got tired and we got cold. So we just came back to camp here and built a fire and about to boil some water and eat up. So we're quite excited. Yeah. This is a pretty cool spot, wouldn't you say, Jake?
It'll be really cool when we catch a bunch of fish tomorrow.
That's right. That's right. Well,
Cool spot. Walk wasn't the best. But
walk wasn't the best, but character building, some may say. Yeah, we're sitting here enjoying. I'll show you guys camp here in a minute. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Alright, folks, it's been 10 minutes. See what old Steven has to say for us. Ain't bad. Ain't bad for a backcountry meal.
better than what else we've been eating. A wish sandwich.
Wishing, that's right.
Yeah, that strawberry grape flavored water. Body armor wasn't hitting on much when I did that.
Alrighty, folks, it is the next morning here. Slept pretty good. We got a little rain last night, but our tarps were actually surprisingly did pretty well. So yeah, figured I'd show you guys our setup here.
Jacob's still getting up over there. It's like a little potato peeking out. But we got our hammocks over there with the tarps. Shout out to the Montreat OREC department for letting us borrow those. So yeah, had those, and then we're right by the creek here. That's where we started fishing yesterday and caught fish. Then just got a fire pit here. Somebody before us set up a very nice campsite for us, so we appreciate that. Yeah, it's about 9 o'clock. We actually slept probably just how late we slept with being outside, but yeah, feeling good. There's kind of a chance of rain all morning, but looks like there's maybe about a 2-hour gap for chance of rain, and then so I imagine we'll be fishing with the rain jacket on all day. But yeah, we'll see. I really have no idea what to expect, but we're gonna cook breakfast here, get a little water in us, pack up camp, and then head to fishing again.
Oh, just wait.
Oh yes. Ah, that feels so good.
Oh man, that's looking good. I'm like a bag on me.
Oh my goodness. That was smooth. Jacob, give them your predictions for the day.
Hopefully it's not terrible. That's my prediction. Not terrible.
Highly optimistic.
That was optimistic.
Yeah. Well, folks, I'm not going to say that Jacob's prediction was wrong, but it wasn't too far off. The day was a grind. We started off just about where we finished yesterday and had strikeout after strikeout. As I mentioned earlier, there was rain in this area, which made it extremely overcast the whole time. I think that's really what turned these fish off. Streamers, dries, nymphs, we threw the whole box at them without as much as a sniff. I asked around a bit as to why this would be, and apparently some clouds can be all it takes to shut down these early spring fish. With us being relatively early in the season and constant cloud cover, the odds weren't stacked in our favor. Our first action of the day came at the famous Middle Falls, but it wasn't the type of action we were expecting.
Hi, buddy.
Wow.
Folks, so I'd like you to meet Sarge, the newest member of Mule Outdoors. Sarge found us. Maybe here's the good luck we needed for today.
That'd be nice.
Maybe turn the day around for us, Sarge.
If you're good, I might give you a part of the swim then, Sarge.
You're a very good boy.
Lo and behold, if we didn't hook into our first fish of the day right after we met Sarge.
Biggin. Oh. Well, you have a big spot of water on the camera, so it's going to be fuzzy, but good job.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah.
Where have you been all day, sir?
Hit the hopper?
He munched the friggin' hopper, dude. Get him unpinned here.
We were starting to get a little deject.
A little?
Look how pink he is. I've never seen one like that before.
Sit still. Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, he's a whole lot
That's a
more pink than he is
beautiful fish.
orange.
Yeah. That is sweet. Munch the hopper, dude. Well, it took long enough, folks. It is almost 1 o'clock.
We've been fishing since what, 11, 10?
10, yeah, 10:30. It's a good one.
Yep.
All right, can I get him back?
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Maybe old Sarge was good luck.
Maybe old Sarge was a good luck.
As Lizzo would say, it's about damn time.
Yep.
Oh, baby! Oh! Yes!
professional net skills here. Hello, folks at home, Pops. I didn't do this all in vain. Oh my goodness, this is gonna grind. Grind isn't even a word, though. Grind is no joke. Look at that thing.
Oh. Outmatched a little bit there. It's already yoinking so hard.
That fish would unknowingly be our last of the trip. To save it today was what we were hoping for would be a lie. Our high hopes for the legendary Big Snowbird just simply didn't live up to our expectations. Now, is this a true window into how a Big Snowbird actually fishes? I don't think so. I really think we caught it on a bad day. Judging on how good the fishing was when we got here, I think that the fish in the system are doing just fine after the hurricane. Although clearly, more rain makes them not want to eat. We started out our long, wet hike back to the truck with the dogs in tow. We were able to connect with the owner via satellite phone and reunite them. We were sad that Big Snowbird left such a sour taste in our mouths this time, but we will definitely be back.
Well, folks, after a long spring, we are done. This is finals week of school. Sitting here overlooking the Shenandoah Valley, Black Mountain, and really the place that I've learned to call home. First off, if you made it to this point in this video, thank you so much. I know it's been a long video. I haven't done a lot of stuff like this before, but I really appreciate you sticking around this long. It's meant a lot to me. Just this is kind of the first type of this project I've worked on, and I've loved every second of it. And I'm hoping it can be impactful. I don't know if anybody will be watching it at this point, but I know I've had a great time making it so far. And it's been cool to see the people that I've been able to run into so far, and the people that I'll hopefully get to impact from this. Yeah, so that's first off. Thank you. And second off, just reflecting on the spring and how much of a pleasure it's been. It's been very cool and a weird way to experience something like this. I never thought, nobody out here thought we would experience a hurricane in the mountains, but here we are. And like I said at the beginning, all we could do is make the most out of it, make the best that we can. So yeah, thank you all for sticking along with that. I try to do the best I can, give an overall representation of mostly the fishing, but also the people and the hunting and the culture in the region. So if any of y'all have taken any high school or college English or taken facilitating OREC by Professor Whitney, you'll have heard this phrase, what, so what, and now what? And that's kind of what I wanted to explore this video. So first off, we had the what. What happened? We had a hurricane in the mountains, okay? Devastated a lot of things, more things than you can count. Devastated lives, land, people like I've been exploring. Okay, that happened. So what? So what is we've had this spring and we've had this time to explore and find new places and revisit old places that we once knew and are no longer the same. People are still displaced. Churches are still out of, my church is still not meeting in its original building. Businesses are still not back to normal. And towns aren't the same as they were, and they never will be. And that's just the current state that we're at. In the grand scheme of things, a spring after, 6 months after, is really not that long. So this is all I've kind of captured. It's still pretty raw, and it's still pretty raw in all of the communities here at Montreat. So we have the what happened? There's a hurricane. So what? Okay, all we can do is make the best of what we have. Like I've shown, we explored new places, tried to fish different spots, that forced us to find new hunting and fishing spots, and do all those different things, which is good in its own way, but not what we had in mind for the spring.
So gone through the what and the so what, and now we're on to the now what. Now what do we do? Well, it's springtime. Things are come back to normal. Summer is coming soon. You know, that's a lot of the big tourist industry down here. But now where do we go? And I think the answer is just the story is just ongoing still. There were so many places I wanted to get to this spring, and I'm sure people around here wanted to get to, like where they still can. On the other side of this ridge that I'm on the west side, I cannot access any of those trails at all, like zero. They are all still closed. And so many things, like the Parkway, one of my favorite spots, Mount Mitchell, can't get to it. All the things like that. So this is an ongoing story. There's still a lot of ongoing conservation efforts as well. Like we found a lot of the streams were hit pretty hard. So exploring what's next for the streams, for the fish, for the amphibians, the salamanders, the hellbenders, the bugs, and all of those things. That's just something that we need to explore next. And the people as well. Business are still going, still recovering, and we're in kind of in uncharted territory right now, which is why I wanted to make this film. But just kind of discover we're all in uncharted territory in every aspect right now. So this is still very much, so to speak, ongoing story and ongoing timeline, and I don't really know what's next. I've done all that I can do for the time frame that I'm here. I leave in a week to go home for the summer. I just go to school out here. So I've done all that I can, and maybe I'll make it out later this summer. I don't know. Maybe I won't. But as far as for me, what's next is next fall coming back, hoping to do some research projects on some wildlife, as well as just my own personal fishing adventures as well. But one step that I am going to take as far as the what's next is some stickers that we're going to do as a fundraiser. So I've partnered up with my friend Grace from the college, and she makes some awesome stickers. And for this, we're going to do a hellbender sticker and a Southern Appalachian brook trout sticker. So if you don't know what those are by point in this video, they're a fish that's native and a big salamander is native to the region, but they both got hit very hard by the hurricane. So what we're going to do is, I'm not quite sure all the details yet, but by the time this video comes out, there'll be a Google form below with an order form for these stickers. I don't know how it's going to work, but we're not going to make any money off these. We're going to do this at cost, as cheap as we can. And what we can, we're going to donate to either a hellbender research group or a trout research group, depending on which sticker you all buy. Yeah, they're awesome stickers, and Grace does a really good job with them. And I think that's a good way to give back, so to speak. And you know, I'm a poor college student. I can't really do much, you know, financially. But I do have this platform and the opportunity to spread the word of what's happening, which is what I've done, and hopefully make an impact. So that's what I want to do with these stickers. So yeah, they'll all be linked in the description below. But I'm really looking forward to this. Get yourself a hellbender and a brook trout, or one of each, or a couple of each, and all of those proceeds are going to go towards conservation, towards research, and towards funding for these streams in the region that got affected by the hurricane. So now that we're in the now what stage, I would encourage yourself as well, if you're watching this video, go out in the land if you haven't, and see how the region and the wildlife and the people are doing. I promise you that any businesses down here that are open will take your business and need your business. There's a ton of stuff down in Brevard, on the pigeon and rafting and things like that. I'm not quite sure what's open, but I can promise you they want your business, and they can really put a scope on things to see it for yourself. So yeah, I would encourage you to do that and make an impact as well as you can yourself. The region needs it, and you have a chance to do that and see some pretty beautiful country. Not as beautiful as it once was, but still very beautiful and still very much resilient and getting back on its feet. Again, I cannot say thank you enough to all of those who have watched this and made it this far. It truly, truly means the world to me. It really does. I've waited a long time to do something like this, and I'm really happy with how it came out. So, that being said,
thank you all for joining for a spring in Appalachia. Hopefully y'all can see it for yourself at some point. Come down here. It's beautiful. And we'll see y'all out here in the fall.